Tip number 2, restoring range of motion. So what we know is typically we'll have our clients coming in early morning or late evening, and our body positions might always be a little bit more stiffer. Not just our muscles are kind of taut, but we'll also find that our joints are maybe locked or a little bit stiff after a day of working or just rolling out of bed. So what we want to think of here with restoring range of motion is basically just allowing your body to go back to its normal baseline. So for example, what I would like to usually start out with is maybe starting very simply with some inchworms. I always cue to kind of trace your fingers down your legs, get a little bit of flexion in the spine, walk the hands out. You can get into a high plank position. If you're comfortable here, go down into a push-up, and then we're going to walk the hands back to feet. Now I usually tell my clients, okay, let's do this 5 to 8 times, and what this allows us to do is have an initial check-in, right? When I'm going down, I'm going to feel for the back of the hamstrings and notice, do I have tightness in the ankles? Are my heels peeling off the floor when I walk in? How do my shoulders feel? How does my core feel? All of these things will allow me to kind of check in with myself. The next thing I'd like to do after my inchworms is maybe take a large step out, so we get into this nice high lunge. This is a little bit more challenging because I'm usually cueing people to be a little bit more active with that back leg by keeping that back knee off. We're then going to place the left palm down and then take the right elbow, reach, and if we can, touch the ground, open up. So we're adding not just a lunge that's going to open up that front hip, a little bit more action on the glutes as well to hold this position, but then we're also getting the thoracic spine involved by creating a little bit of rotation through the spine. All right, so we usually like to cue maybe doing 8 reps and then swapping over to the other side and then checking in. More often than not, each side is going to feel really different, and there's nothing wrong with that. We in general have a lot of muscle imbalances, so it's just a time for us to check in to see what else we need to work on. Another thing that I really like to do is to check shoulder range of motion. So here we're going to take it to the wall, and I'm going to show you a few things that we can do. So a little bit more shoulder focus, especially if we know that we're going to be going into an upper body workout, whether it's strict presses, toes to bar. We need a little bit of movement through the shoulders and a lot of opening there. So what we can start to do is stand up against the wall. Maybe we're about half a foot, a few inches away from the wall, and again, that will depend on your mobility. So what we want to work on here is getting the arm up, so extending that arm overhead and then pulling that arm behind us. Maybe the first few reps you'll notice the chest being really tight, and then we have to swivel around a little bit, but I want you guys to think of fighting that by keeping that left shoulder back. Again, flex the arm up and then extend it behind. So we try to take about 10 to 15 of these nice and slow. Again, this is just restoring range of motion. We're not trying to increase our mobility here. That's specific training. So we just do that maybe 10 to 15 times on each side. And another way that we can also do this is with the PVC pipe, where we're actually going to be working on both sides at the same time. So follow me. What we're going to do is to go really wide stance, full overhand grip on the PVC. What we want to think about is flexing all that above. We're going to shrug a little bit and then pull that PVC behind us. Now what I want you to notice is the position of my rib cage. What we're trying to avoid here is getting that range from the lower back, so we want to hug that rib cage down. You're thinking rib cage pointing down to your hips. So typically I would say 10 to 15, nice and slow. We're not trying to rush through this. Again, this is a great check-in for an area where maybe we might feel a little bit tighter, and usually that's going to happen in this position where the arms are behind me.